All right, what's up, guys? I was going to save this one for the weekend, not try to overdo too many mock drafts, but that's kind of what we do here. I always try to bring a new angle, bring a new approach. Those who are new to the channel, thanks for tuning in. I really like to try to specialize around the draft, highlighting players, highlighting different ideas or concepts of what the Bears could do or take in the draft. And there's one big thing I realized, and I'm going to hit a couple different things right here at the beginning real quick. Number one, DJ Moore. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous the narratives this fan base comes up with to try to trade away a player that just got extended, led our team in targets, led our team in receiving yards. He's not getting traded. It's like we get bored in the offseason and we have to come up with stuff to occupy ourselves with. DJ Moore's not getting traded, especially if we don't re-sign Keenan Allen. I mean, we may even re-sign Keenan Allen. Who knows? There's clearly a connection there. Caleb Williams on the podcast with the St. Brown brothers says that Keenan Allen is the best player he's ever played with his entire career. Not just NFL, but his entire career. So there's some validity to that. Who knows what's going to happen? But one big thing I have taken, I'll get to the head coaching thing real quick just for a second. But one thing I haven't done on here is taken into account how Ryan Poles handles free agency. I have, but I haven't completely because every one of my mock drafts till now, this one, I'm keeping Ryan Bates and I'm keeping Gerald Everett. Do I agree with that? No, but it's a very Ryan Poles thing to do in a class where there's not a lot of guards available and the tight ends aren't the most exclusive ones either. They're not, huge contracts. I just don't know if he'll cut them. So I'm going to keep them on this one, which is going to limit our free agency amount of money we have. And then we're not going to take Trey Smith either because the likelihood is he's going to get wrapped up by the Chiefs. So those things I'm going to take. But this one I'm going to make a little fun because I'm going to take, on your simulators, you see players fall at different spots. There's a lot of really good players at the top of this draft. So I'm going to take players that dropped me, and I used an actual simulation, and I'm going to put it at the end here. Players that fell to me, and then I'm going to take a fun approach of trading back into the second for a third second rounder instead of trading down. So that's what I try to do with these is give you a new approach, new angle. I am going to get back into my positional group videos where I rank for the draft. And then I'm going to start getting into the individual player breakdowns and do those one by one. I know a lot of people don't, love those. I'll make them shorter. But I will do some mock drafts in the middle as well. But I really like this mock draft. Is it realistic? I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? You see right there on the front of the screen, Abdul Carter. I'll hit that real quick. If you guys haven't heard, about a year ago from right now, he had an incident where a tow truck driver was towing his truck or his vehicle because it was in a no parking zone. So it got towed. Well, he ripped the guy out of the truck and got a misdemeanor assault charge. Now, it's been dismissed from his record because he went through a therapy program and first-time offender, and it got dismissed. But if we're going to play that hypothetical game like everyone does, now I'm going to caveat this real quick. Abdul Carter won't make it to 10. I don't think he will. He's a smaller defensive end. He's not your 280-pound guy, and there's a lot of them, like Nick Scourton at the top of this class, where a lot of people think those are going to be the coveted prize because last year there weren't the big defensive ends. So he's not a 270, 280-pound defensive end. He's not even 260 pounds. So maybe some people will overlook that natural, God-given, amazing, bless you talent that he has that's Micah Parsons 2.0. Maybe they'll overlook that, and those four teams ahead of us that need a defensive lineman, they'll take Mason Graham, and they'll take James Pierce, who's actually pretty close to the same size, and they'll take Nick Scourton and leave the Bears with Abdul Carter at 10 because of his character concerns, because he beat up a tow truck driver. I don't know. It's not crazy. Those things happen all the time. All right, back to the head coach real quick. I live in Vegas. For those of you who don't know, I'm not ashamed of it one bit. I live in Vegas. I was born and raised on a farm in southern Utah. Grew up around farm machinery and all that stuff, and ended up coming to UNLV, graduating from University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And then I've lived here. I work in the insurance industry, and then I do this as a hobby on the side, and this has really kind of taken over my life, and I really love this channel. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you, all of you. If you haven't hit the like button, I'm going to say it now early. Do that. If you haven't subscribed, do that. Hit the bell notification. I am about to bring my first partner on the channel. As many of you know, I don't believe in the gambling sponsorships. I've turned down multiple of those. I finally have someone reach out to me, and I can't technically list their name, but it's for higher education, and I do believe in that. So I will have that on the channel pretty soon. We'll try not to make it too invasive for the channel, but we are growing the channel, and then memberships might become a thing soon. Anyways, I live in Vegas, and if you live here, you hear these rumblings. Vegas isn't like Chicago. I mean, not only just size and everything else. Chicago's huge. Vegas is, I don't know what it is, like the 20th biggest city in the U.S. It's not. I mean, it's 2.5, 3 million people. It's not. It's chump change compared to Chicago. But the rumor cycle here isn't crazy either. In fact, when you listen to people here, you hear the rumors of I was going to try to pull one up, but I don't have it formatted properly. Anyways, there's a billion rumors of Ben Johnson coming to the Raiders now, and Tom Brady's going to interfere with this weekend's game. He's going to be down on the field, like interfering with Ben Johnson and recruiting him and blah, 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 blah. The thing you hear when you're here in Vegas and you're around people all the time, and I live right by the practice facility. That doesn't mean anything, but some of the local places I go out to eat, there's always rumblings and talks. And anyways, if you live here, we're already paying 3 head coaches. We're not going to go after one of the biggest head coaches and sign one of the most expensive ones. The Raiders are still paying Antonio Pierce and Josh McDaniels and John Gruden $28 million a year because of bad contracts. They've had 4 head coaches in the last 5 years. So Raiders fans locally, and if you listen to 670 The Score for you guys, what is it, ESPN 900? I don't remember what it is local here because I listen to Bears stuff more than I listen to Raiders stuff. But if you listen to them here, none of them that we're getting Ben Johnson. It's going to be someone more like an Arthur Smith that could maybe bring Justin Fields with him because he thinks Justin Fields is a starter. He said that last year as the OC for the Steelers. Now, Arthur Smith has interviewed with the Jets. Maybe that's a good fit. Maybe he brings Justin Fields there. And there's no necessary reason to believe they have to be tied together. But there's a lot of different things. But if you live here in Vegas, nobody is talking about Ben Johnson coming to the Raiders. Nobody believes that's realistic. But if you listen to Chicago sports talk, Ben Johnson's already a Raider. Like this job for Ben Johnson is his to take for the Bears. So there's plenty of process in the way here. You got a couple more weeks of playoff football. You're going to have multiple interviews left, but this job is Ben Johnson's to take, and I am convinced 100%. If you look at the betting odds, everything, Ben Johnson is going to be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. Now, that's my speculation. I try not to get too deep into the speculation, but that is my speculation. I believe he'll be the head coach of the Bears. And so I'm not going to do too many more videos unless we do some serious interviews and we get along. I'll do short updates. But until we hire him, I'm not going to do anything big with that. So anyways, let's get right into this. So here's your salary cap, as I always like to do. There's the salary cap, this time without any cuts. So you can see adding last year's reserve onto the next year coming up, we're going to have about $86 million in salary cap. We have to go through re-signings first. And on this one, I am going to keep Ryan Bates there, as you see. And I'm also going to re-sign Tevin Jenkins because he is the best option outside of Trey Smith. Now, a lot of people might think that we want to go get Daniels from the Steelers and bring him back to Chicago, where he was drafted originally to be a center. Fine with that. But every one of these guys, Will Fries, Daniels, all these guys were having kind of little breakouts here at the end without consistency, and they're not proven. If you want a starter, we're going to stick with Tevin Jenkins. He's going to be cheaper than most because of his injury history. I think the Bears can get him around $13 million, maybe $15, $16, $17 million on the upper end. I don't know, but I do like Tevin Jenkins staying. But with that, we're going to need to get someone quality at depth behind him. We're going to have to keep building this roster. We're not fixed year one. So you can see I had 6 in the middle that we needed to fill between here, and here. And now we have Tevin Jenkins. We're going to re-sign Coleman Shelton. I've proposed this the whole time. I'm sticking with this because I really think it's the right move to make, and we're keeping Ryan Bates. Less needs now through the draft, which I'm a huge proponent of, and free agency, which I'm a huge proponent of. So we'll move forward from there. We're going to have the running back room. Nothing much has changed there. Wide receiver room, I think it's a shame if we let Colin Johnson go like Reddy Stewart just went. If somebody else signs Colin Johnson without us giving him a minimum contract, because he is not signed to a future reserve contract. He's not signed to the practice squad yet. Colin Johnson is a free agency right now. Free agent. If he doesn't sign with the Bears like relatively soon, I'm going to be frustrated if another situation where someone signs him to their roster. I think Colin Johnson has a lot of upside. If you didn't see that in the preseason last year, go back and look. It's you'd have to be hiding under a rock to not know how he had the 2-touchdown game and the Colin Johnson game. So we need to re-sign him ASAP and have less needs at wide receiver. And then we still have Gerald Everett there, you can see. So our depth at tight end isn't as severe, even though I'm not a big fan of Gerald Everett so far. Maybe the Bears are thinking we can bring in a new head coach, a new personnel, tight ends coach, everything that can work with him better and get him revitalized. He's not like he's past hope. He just had a bad season. All right, so on the defensive line, we got some needs to fill there. Nothing big I did there. We retained Jalen Johnson by matching a restricted offer for him. If anybody offers, we have the right to match it. And then, let's see, linebackers here. Jack Sanborn, we're going to match his offer. Josh Blackwell, same. And then we're just out a linebacker that we need to fill through the draft or free agency. So after all of that, after we've got our offensive line shored up, wide receivers, tight ends with Colin Johnson, linebackers, cornerbacks, matching Jack Sanborn, then you got about $61 million left. And when you take into account draft picks and what they'll cost, and the buffer cap that we like to roll with, have about $41 million we run with in free agency. So it doesn't go quite as far as people might think. We think we can fix everything in one season. Not necessarily the case. So move forward here. I really like the idea of picking up Josh Sweat. Now, as I've already alluded to, we're going to pick up Abdul Carter, but you're going to hit free agency before the draft, and we're picking up Josh Sweat, and then Abdul Carter falls to us. He's one of those guys, if he falls to us at 10, you can't pass him up. So this is just kind of working through the scenario of how it would work. We're going to get him on a 4-year, $65 million contract, $16.25 annual. See here, Spotrac says he'll sign for 15. Over the cap says he's 11. This isn't very accurate right here. He did have a down couple years. There's lots of juice left in the tank. He's only 27 and a half years old, so Josh Sweat would be a great pickup. And even if he's rotational and Abdul Carter doesn't have to play every snap, and I mean that's a great fit to have Josh Sweat, Montez Sweat, Abdul Carter. I mean that really is a pretty freaking phenomenal defensive end room. Plenty of room for all these guys with how they rotate at the edge. So I like this one a lot. We're going to pick up Bobby Brown, 3-year, $21 million contract. I've mentioned most of these guys before. He's on the end of his contract, his rookie contract with the Rams. We'll see how they do in the playoffs right now, but they did not offer him a 5th-year option. Odds are he could sign there, but if someone comes in and offers him enough, he would go. His pass rushing isn't the most elite, but he's a really good tackler, and that's what the Bears need. So this helps shore up our defensive tackle room, our nose tackle, and that would be good. So Trent Brown, I've mentioned in several videos, I like him behind Darnell Wright, coming back from injury with all that experience and then drafting a rookie. He would be very valuable. So we're going to sign Trent Brown to a 1-year, $5.5 million. And then for our third tight end, we're going to draft Luke Farrell, or we're going to sign in free agency Luke Farrell, who's an excellent pass blocking tight end, kind of fill that role that Mercedes Lewis was supposed to have, but did not execute very well. And Josh Palmer. So a lot of these are the same. Josh Palmer I really like as a wide receiver 3, so we're picking him up. And then we're going to extend Kyler Gordon, Spider-Man. So this is where it all lines up after all that. So it's value contracts, but it's also going out and get some big picks, mid-level. Free agents going to cost us $38 million. Extension for Kyler Gordon, $2 million. We're going to be left with a buffer cap right around $8.8 million, which is a little less than Poles likes to roll with, but it's a good value right there. Good spot to be at. So there's where we stand. We are going to take the Ian Cunningham comp pick, and we're going to roll through these faster today. I've already read a lot about all these guys, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each one of the guys. I'm just going to make it fun by players that fell to us that necessarily wouldn't always fall to us. I'm going to have that kind of be the MO for today's video, to have that kind of be the theme, is players that might not necessarily always fall there. So there's our draft picks here on the right. This is where we stand. We've all seen this before. 10, 39, 41, 72, 100 with the comp pick. And then we're going to take Abdul Carter as he falls to us in the first round. If you guys don't know about Abdul Carter, go look up on him. I haven't highlighted him a ton on here because I don't think it's realistic for us to take him. But Abdul Carter would be an absolute monster for the Bears to get. At 39, a lot of people don't think Tyler Booker will end up being this far. But if you guys look at all the players going in the top 40, this is a very sweet spot to be picking at 39 and 41, because it's right on the tail end of where all the gold is. I mean, to me, there's really 10, 15 blue chip guys in this draft, but there's really like 40, 45 guys that would be steals that I think would be day one starters in this draft. And so the Bears are going to fall right on that tail end of that. And Tyler Booker is one of those guys that would fill in perfectly for us. They say left guard here. He's played a couple positions on the line. You could have Tevin move over to right guard. You could have Tyler Booker at left guard. You could have Tyler Booker at right guard next to Darnell Wright. we can mix things up a little bit. But very good pick here with Tyler Booker. And then at 41, we're also going to have a steal on our hands with Tyleik Williams. And yes, a lot of places have Tyleik Williams going in the end of the first round, and I actually agree with that. Very quick, very big body nose tackle. After assigning Bobby Brown, you don't have to have him start. They can rotate in, which would be really nice to have. But Tyleik Williams in this scenario, I'll show you. I screenshot it, and I ended to the end of this one. Like I said, guys that fall to us, if it just happens to happen, then he falls to us, then we're not passing him up at 41. All right, next up, I'm going to trade back into the second round because, like I said, there's a ton of value here. And if one of these guys that are in my top 45 falls out of the top 45, and it happens every year, the Bears, I would hope, I mean, Ryan Poles showed in his very first draft he was willing to come trade up and get Tyreek Stevenson. So in this scenario, this is from NFL mock draft data, or mock draft simulator. I don't remember what it's called right now. Anyways, you guys can recognize it as you see it here. But they don't show the entire thing. They don't show the future picks. But for us to come from 72 to 48, we also took their fourth rounder, but we gave up a future second round pick, and it highly favors the Dolphins to do this. They're, getting over 40% value to be able to do that. So they're getting the future second rounder. And with the extra third round comp pick, they have multiple third round comp picks this year. It could be valuable for them to do that because they can still take picks in the third round, and they would have a lot of options still, and they'd get future value out of next year's draft as well. So it's just hypothetical, but it does fit where the Bears could come trade back in. So I found a partner that I think could work in that scenario. And with that, the Bears are going to trade back up, and a lot of you guys have seen who I really like, and it's Nick Amenwari. Man, I love Nick Amenwari as a safety. So you guys can pause this, read through it. This is not the one I'm going to read through everything. I'm going to go through this a little quicker, but his height, his weight, his 40 time, he's freakishly quick. He's an athlete. He's absolutely insane at the safety position. I would put him at strong safety and have him replace Jaquan Brisker. I know we love Jaquan Brisker. He hasn't proven to be a top-tier safety, and then the injury concern. So Nick Amenwari would start day one, and then you can figure out the rest of the defensive backs from there. So that's what I would do if this scenario fell. And remember, this is best player available if these things fail. And then we're not picking again all the way to pick 100. And in this scenario, and actually the more I review it, Cam Scatterbo could fall to the end of the third round. Now, I've said on the channel a lot that he could go in the first 3 rounds, early third round. But the more I look into him, as he gets into testing, he might drop a little bit more because of his 40 time. He's one of the slowest running backs in this class. He's a 4.6 240. Maybe he'll test out faster at the combine. But these top guys at 4.32, 4.35, 4.4, 4.5 even, they're going to get a little bit more of a boost up in that ranking for them. But I love his center of balance. I love him hitting the holes on our offensive line and being a 1-2 combo with DeAndre Swift. And if you watch Bears Twitter as well, people on there saying we should take Ashton Jeanty. It's absolute insanity. I can't. And I know I did a mock draft with Ashton Jeanty just to appease you guys, but I'm never going to do that again because it's asinine. There's no way you take a running back with all of our needs in the first round. But in this deep class, if someone like Cam Scatterbo, who is my 5th highest ranked running back in this class, he could very well fall to the end of the third round. So with our comp pick for Ian Cunningham, sorry, Ian Cunningham, we love you, but Cam Scatterbo would be worth you getting signed by the Titans. So we're going to take Cam Scatterbo here with our comp pick. And then at 114, as we traded down, or we traded up to our second rounder, but gave away our third and a future second rounder, we're going to take Jared Wilson, who I don't think will fall this far. I'm tongue-tied. Fall this far, but like I said, in this scenario, I'm taking best player available with our mock draft simulator, and I know I'm the one who advocates and says don't listen to your simulator, but in this one, I'm trying to take some places where they could fall, where they might be, and Jared Wilson doesn't have as much starting experience. He was behind Cedric Von Pon, whatever his last name is now, Granger. So you can see, if you move me out of the way, only 674 starting snaps this year, and then last year was just really fill-in role, so he doesn't have a lot of starter experience. He's good-sized. And he's played very, very well this year, so he might be the one that gets a little bit of a tick down with some of these other players from schools that are tackles converting to center is what you see a lot of rumor of. And if you haven't seen that, go look at my tackle video, go look at my guard video. Some of these guys could scoot over and play center that are 300-pound tackles at smaller schools like William and Mary and places like that. So they might scoot in, and they've got a lot more experience. So we'll see what happens, but it could land someone like Jared Wilson right here at pick 114. So we're going to roll with it, and I like the way this draft is playing out so far. All right. Now we're going to get into our more, what do you call them? Developmental picks. 5th, 6th, 7th round. I've always said these are developmental picks. Sometimes you can pick up a steal, like at running back or linebacker, cornerback. Some of those positions you can pick up a steal. So I don't mind that at all. Luke Kandra is one I've highlighted before. I really like Luke Kandra a lot. Same thing with him. Level of competition has kind of been a concern for him, and a lot of footwork issues. But he's kind of good at everything and a really good athlete, but not exceptional at everything. So here at 5th round, I think is a great place to pick up Luke Kandra to be able to develop into another guard as well. Then we're going to get into another trade for us, okay? This is to pick up one more pick this year. I was getting greedy, I was getting selfish, and I'm utilizing these things, but I'm trying to make them realistic as well. So we gave up a 2nd rounder next year. We're also going to give up a 7th round or 2nd rounder. We're going to give up a 7th rounder next year as well to be able to have the Browns trade up with us. So they're the one that wants to come in and give us value for them. We're going to get both their 6 for them to trade up 5 spots, and then we give them a 7th rounder next year in return. Gives us an extra pick this year, so I can look at some more prospects for you on this video. But it does fit a narrative. If they want to trade up, it could be a value thing that the Bears would do to be able to extract a pick this year, give up a 7th rounder next year. Very realistic of what they could do. Pat Bryant, someone I think he'll go earlier than this too, but on the simulator share all falls. I've highlighted him a lot, so I'm not going to say too much more about Pat Bryant. Very tough player, though. Holland Pierce is someone I brought up in my tackle video. If you guys haven't seen a lot on Holland Pierce, he's very cut and chiseled for 6'8", 344 pounds, but very undisciplined, very no technique. He came from a smaller, let me show you guys. So right there, if you move out of the way, he was with Rutgers, which isn't a tiny school, but not the level of competition. In fact, one of his best games was against Miami, which was a good thing to see. So not tiny school, but not the SEC, not the Big Ten, anything like that. And just a lot of inconsistencies in his game. So if you can bring him in behind Trent Brown, like I've highlighted, and with a good offensive line coach to develop him, then you can make something out of him. All right. With these late round picks, we're trying to fill holes in the roster that we can develop. Jackson Woodard was the Defensive Player of the Year for the Mountain West Conference, UNLV. Top 25 in all of FBS in both defensive grade and run defensive grade. One of the biggest tacklers in the league. He's an absolute stallion, so he'd be a steal for the Bears at 233. And then our last pick we're going to take in this draft, we will fill a need with defensive line depth. And Thor Griffith, to me, is a big body. I know we've taken multiple nose tackles. I get it. But he came from Harvard. You look right down here. Came from Harvard, transferred to Louisville, and he actually kept the level of competition up at Louisville. Played very well. Obviously, the years at Harvard was the highest ones. But if you look right there on some of his scouting report strengths, this is one I haven't highlighted enough. I do like Thor Griffith. He's right now projected to be an undrafted free agent, but explosiveness is exceptional, remarkable strength and power, and he's described as unblockable by Ivy League coaches. So, will that translate? I don't know, but he's worth taking a flyer on to be able to stop that run defense. You see his run defense grade. We've been terrible at it. So he's a developmental guy. Probably end up on the practice squad, but we can develop him, and I really like the idea of that. All right, so here's how our draft lined out after we made the trades and did everything. We got Abdul Carter, Tyler Booker, Tyleek Williams, Nick Emanwari, Cameron Scadaboo, and this alone, this is already a dream draft. That's what I'm trying to do with it. I'm trying to have more fun because a lot of you guys ask, is this what you would really do? Or are you trying to fill a narrative? This is, if this fell to it, this is like ideal mock draft for us. Jared Wilson, Luke Kandra, Pat Bryant, Holland Pierce, Jackson Woodard, and Thor Griffith. So this to me is an absolute slam dunk of a mock draft. Here's all the pieces we added through free agency and the draft. Stacked. And then here's how the team would line up. You got Braxton Jones for one more year with Holland Pierce learning behind him. Who knows? Holland Pierce might be able to pan out. You got Tevin Jenkins with Luke Kandra learning behind him. Very high potential there. But you also have Bill Murray as well. And you got Kieran Amagaji who could develop still too. You got Jared Wilson with Coleman Shelton. You got Ryan Bates behind Tyler Booker, and you got Darnell Wright with Trent Brown with his experience and leadership. And I like someone like this, especially to be able to come in and bring the locker room vibes. And you got Ricky Stromberg that can still develop as well. There's the offensive line. The other ones will go a little quicker. Quarterbacks and running backs, nothing changes except Cam Scatterbo being the 1-2 punch with DeAndre Swift. You got the wide receivers and tight ends. You've still got Gerald Everett there, but you got Luke Farrell with Cole Kmet. And then at wide receiver, we brought Josh Palmer in, and then retained Colin Johnson, got Pat Bryant. And then for the defensive line, you've got, all right, so this is kind of wild right here, but you got Montez Sweat, Josh Sweat with Abdul Carter, and they would rotate quite a bit with their different size and skill strengths. Thor Griffith is developmental. You got Bobby Brown, though, and really we would need a 3-tech next year to compete with Jervon, but I think Jervon's fine to hold down the fort this year. And you can always have DeMarcus Walker slide in to rotate a little bit if he needs to, and other guys can fill in at defensive end, like Austin Booker rotating in with Montez Sweat a little bit more. This is an absolute deep defensive line, though. Players like Zach Pickens, Dom Robinson probably wouldn't make it. Thor Griffith would probably be on the practice squad to start the year. You'd probably see those 9 going into the season right there. So I like it. It fixes our defensive line quite a bit. Linebackers, we're going to pick up Cody Simon as an undrafted free agent. Say one of these two is an undrafted free agent. We draft the other. I'm okay with that. Both these are really good options, and Noah Sewell isn't really going anywhere. As I mentioned earlier, Reddy Stewart stole off our practice squad. He was signed to our futures reserve because we weren't smart enough to sign him to a full contract. Really, really dumb on the Bears' part. Another boob move by the Bears. Not a big fan of that. And then you got Nick Amenwari coming in and replacing Jaquan Brisker, which is a smart move with his health and with him not being a top safety in the league either. I got these backwards again. Rotate that. Free safety and strong safety, and it's fine. But you also see I have Terrell Smith starting and Tyreek Stevenson as the backup. And I also have floated the idea of Tyreek Stevenson going over to strong safety as well. So that's the roster. Let me know what you guys think about this mock draft. I think it's absolutely stacked, but obviously we did it that way is what fell to us. But it was in accordance to the simulator. It was right in line with what they had there. Ooh, get to it real quick. Blah, 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 blah. Wow. Go all the way through right here. This is how it all dropped to me. So 2 trades, traded away some of our future second rounder. Would you guys want to trade away a second round pick if it meant we can get Nick Amenwari? I would in a heartbeat. Absolutely. And trade away a future second rounder to be able to have the Browns move up and us get an extra 6th rounder this year. You could have B. Jackson Woodard. So there's a lot of good options. There's a lot of good options in the draft. We'll see what happens. Now I'm going to start highlighting. Like I said, I'm going to start highlighting more positional and more individual players. And then we'll bring you news as things happen as well with the Bears. We'll get into a little bit of a slow rut here. So I'll try to get some of those positional players out so you guys can get excited over some guys in the draft as they come up. And then we're going to have the Shrine Bowl and the Senior Bowl, and those will be fun to see how players do and see if they rise their stock before we get to the Combine. So that'll be fun. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for being a part of the channel. If you haven't hit the like button, please do that. If you haven't subscribed, please do that as well. Until next time, da Bears. I always appreciate you guys tuning in. Bear down.